then they will buy their items and will probably see just whatever they can afford with economy.
Well, let's let the players sort it out now, as we do have the bans underway. LeX versus Kami for our first 1v1. Lulu Lucian banned up by LeX, actually, so an AD carry banned away. And Caitlyn Urgot banned by Kami.
Urgot is a very oppressive champion, to say the least, so take him off the board. Actually a smart decision against the AD carry that is LeX. Caitlyn, not really a surprise either, but the Lucian being banned away from Kami clearly has a pocket pick there, or it's just overwhelming.
I mean, he's a big Ezreal player. You have to think Kami's got a pretty deep champion pool as well. Wukong eats the last ban there for LeX. Kami now only has one ban left. And it seems like both these players, honestly, have actually done quite a bit of homework on each other.
Banning a Wukong definitely indicates that, to say the least. That is a pocket pick if ever I have seen it. I will admit, would be very good on this because you've got invisibility. You can actually just go in burst and run away until they're poked down. This champion that LeX is hovering, I did expect to see. I would be surprised if he goes to something else.
Well, we do have misfortune, of course, the last ban from Kami, so a couple of AD carries being banned out there against the Latin American AD carry player. And again, what's he going to go for?
Wow.
Kami right now is hovering the cannon. Renekton, though, is locked in for LeX.
There it is. We weren't sure if he was going to go with a marksman. It runs a very big risk of being cheesed by a mid laner. He has gone for the Bruiser with the best summoners in the world.
Yep, Exhaust Ignite. That's the other fun thing about 1v1 is you want to get aggressive and just all in, especially with a champion like Renekton, so could get aggressive. But what Kami's hovering, it is blind pick, remember. You get bans, but you do not get to see. You get to change a couple things if you have them prepped up, but you don't get to see the champion until it's almost too late.
Yeah, that's right. The double draft, but the blind picks Kami just hovered it the entire time. Yep. He wants it.
It does go for the cannon. Flash ignites so far as the summoners. See if LeX wants to change anything up, but this is a top lane matchup we actually started to see a little bit towards the end of Worlds.
It is interesting that it's a very short lane, but it still has the same bushes essentially as a top lane would, so champions like Renekton and Kennen can use those to poke people down. So very smart decisions in terms of what the map is shaped like. It is very similar to a top lane, and thus they have gone for top lane-esque champions.
Yeah, and I think Kami, he knows all he has to do is keep Renekton at arm's length on this cannon, and he should be able to win the game eventually. If he has to go CS, he can, but he can also all in. On the other side, though, LeX, especially with those summoners, very aggressive.
Yeah, he's going for the exhaust and ignites. A very dangerous Renekton. Actually, Kami has gone for the same summoners as well.
Oh, swapped it up at the last minute.
1 second left, so we're going to see a lot of action. Who will use the exhaust first, and will they waste it? That's the big question.
Well, you did mention some of the potential strategies on the map. All-ins early on at level 1 and 2 was something you highlighted. Feel like we're going to get some of that here in this first 1v1 game.
We certainly should. The Renekton, of all people, has got the feature of being able to go all-in with that W. You can even max it if you wanted to do more damage with the ferocity once you get those stacks up. The Cannon, on the other hand, very good at poking people down. He's got that range advantage as well for sieging. So there's a lot of extra ways that Kami could come out ahead in this 1 versus 1, whereas LeX runs the risk of being whittled down to no health or no turret or losing farm.
Yep, and it's going to be potentially an uphill battle here for Renekton, but we'll see if these players want to get nice and bloodthirsty early on as Kami does sneak into a bush, but trinkets are allowed, of course, and there is good vision in that front bush as Kami, he's just waiting out here and LeX is saying, come at me, under his turret. Kami, though, is going to sit there and dance.
Having a dance battle, basically, right now. Both break dancing. That's great. So the interesting thing here is they've both gone for the Doran's Blade, didn't go for the Corrupting Potion, which is a lot of extra damage and some added sustain. So if you're looking to poke down the turret, maybe siege it, then you would go for the Corrupting Potion. But the Doran's Shield is just raw damage output. They've got a bit of sustain from it. It's going to be a pretty heated one-on-one.
Well, we'll see as the minions do actually first hit it out. How aggressive these players want to get. Kami, you expect to have an edge early on here, being the range champion, of course, but things could happen very quickly in a 1v1.
Yeah, they certainly could. LeX, very volatile champion, but he is resigned, as you mentioned, sitting back, doing whatever he can until maybe level 2 or 3. So Kami's going to find himself reasonably ahead this early into the game. The question is, can he push that advantage?
Yeah, I guess that's the question. He's holding that passive for as long as he can. Nice poke there out with the W as well. LeX has to be careful not to get stunned here, and Kami might be close to level 2. You can see him now starting to zone him away.
Yeah, a lot of power coming out of the W level 1 for a cannon. Used it already, though, that auto attack, so pokes a bit less, but there is nothing that LeX can do. Doesn't have a flash to engage. It's just sitting back.
Yeah, getting denied a little actually is Renekton, particularly inexperienced. Does finally hit it, now gonna go in for it. Does get stunned up, Ignite is down, exhaust bomb there by LeX. Kami gonna get ignited as well. We're gonna move it back, the exhaust is there, Kami needs it, and does get first blood.
The Poro explosion comes down. 2 minutes into the game is all it took. The cannon pocket pick, far superior to that of the Renekton because he could do nothing at level 1.
Exactly, so hard for LeX, just getting zoned out, and effectively the melee versus range matchups, the players will move over. Kami with a nice smile there, shakes his opponent's hand, and a tough round 1, like we've said for both these players here, but Kami will move on now to round 2, and here's a player that not is only one of the strongest players in the tournament, like we've heard the desk say, but 1v1, mid laner, has to be good.
Exactly. He was one of the favourites by far coming into this 1v1 bracket. It's just in saying that, he's against LeX, who's regarded as the best AD carry in his region, and to win in 2 minutes, that's a real stamp of authority right there from Kami, and he means business in this 1 versus 1.
Certainly is. I like the last second change as well to Exhaust. He's like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's actually have a fight here. And you saw what happened. LeX did hit level 2, went for the all-in, and Kami just had his number.
Yeah, exactly right. He was actually just entirely mind-gamed, to say the least, in terms of that draft. LeX, he wanted to go for the Bruiser build, wanted to kind of just give it all he had at level 2, but didn't even make it to level 2 before he was zoned, too far behind, and adversely losing the game.
Yeah, and there's so much we can talk about in 1v1s. That's kind of why they're so exciting. But I guess if you have to look, even at another level there, how big of a part of minions in a map like this? Because you saw Kami had so much control of that creep wave.
So this is something that Spawn says religiously, is minions at level 1 can win you a fight. So if you take a fight, especially as Renekton, into a one-on-one, you're going to be tanking the minions, whereas Kennen, ranged, usually only gets 3 of the minions at most hitting him if it's a single wave there, because the ranged ones are the only hyper-aggressive ones. You can kite back the melee minions.
Yeah, and with that, we do have 2 minutes in, and our first 1v1 down, as we are going to throw over to the stage for an interview.
Thanks very much, Atlas. I am Paul, standing here with Kami after that first 1v1. And first up, Kami, got to ask a little bit about your experience at Worlds and now coming into the IWCA. How do you think that experience has helped you in these 1v1s? Because clearly in that last game it helped out.
Well, yeah, I was really nervous going into this because I'm so bad at 1v1. I'm known for being bad at 1v1 specifically. But yeah, Worlds helped a lot because the experience is amazing you get when you play against all these regions. So yeah, I'm really happy with it.
Do you mind if I ask you a little bit about your preparation? Because we looked at those bans and they were very specific, not only to patch, but also to player. Have you researched every single person you are potentially going to go against in this tournament?
Not yet, but we were discussing. I was discussing with my teammates because we were all really not really sure what we're going to do in this. So we were like, okay, what do we ban or what do you think is better? But yeah, it worked out, so I'm happy with it.
Right. Were you also expecting the Renekton as well? Because we saw the Cannon come out. Are you expecting Bruisers to come out, or is it just a mix of everything in this new patch?
I was expecting a melee champion. That's why I went with Cannon, and I was really happy that he went with Renekton. So yeah, good matchup for Cannon.
Well, perfect. Thank you very much for the interview. But we are going to shoot it back over to the casters for the